everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, the 16th of October 2023. It's Gary here again, and well, we got our man at long last. It did seem like quite a long time until we got to the spot where we had our new manager confirmed, and I'm delighted to say that that's exactly what happened, and we are now in receipt of a shiny brand new first team manager for our wonderful club. So yeah, I'd like to start here formally by welcoming Philipe Clement, or Clement, I guess we'll find out over the next wee while, to the world famous Glasgow Rangers Football Club, and he joins us on a 3.5 year deal to take us up to, what would that be, 24 to 2027, I guess. And he is our 19th permanent manager in our 151 year history. But I guess the telling figure that's really important for us, especially for right now anyway, is he's the 4th manager in the space of less than 2 years. And that's grim reading wherever you would go and read about that sort of stuff as well. All kind of started when Steven Gerrard just sloped off into the night there less than a couple of years ago, to make his way down to Aston Villa because he was so homesick, which then took him to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, and then we had Giovanni Van Bronckhorst came in, and we all got very excited, myself included, about Giovanni coming in because he knew the club as a former player, of course. Very, very good footballing career himself, international captain, up to and including, I believe, the semi-final of the World Cup, or the final of the World Cup, sorry. And and we were, myself, as I say, was very, very excited. He'd already had, successful management experience, a winner as a player, a winner as a manager, and that was exactly what it was we were looking for at the time. And then it all went very, very flat. He got a tune out of some players there, especially in Europe for sure, and didn't do what we needed him to do domestically, albeit Scottish Cup aside, of course. And then Michael Beale came in, and that was a wee bit different for me. I was excited in respect of the fact that he was, as I've said, I think here on the last couple of pods at least, that the folklore was that he was the brains, the coaching brains behind the Steven Gerrard era, and he knew exactly what he was doing, and it was time for him to step up and step in and do. So it felt like a wee bit of continuity there because he'd been away for such a short period of time. And then lo and behold, his was what was that I said last week, the third shortest tenure of any Rangers manager, in any permanent Rangers manager in our history. So that's kind of grim reading there, isn't it? So that the board had decided, and I guess one of the telling things is that Michael Beale was not our current chairman's pick. And I don't know if that had any influence behind the scenes as to whether he was being afforded less or more leeway in terms of getting things right, but he was certainly backed in the transfer window. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And kudos to the board for acting, with 8 domestic league games of the campaign gone, to say, look, this just is not working, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be working at any point in the future. So now is probably the best time to part services or part ways, or relieve him of his duties and give us a wee bit of a breather, because winning Rangers games and then being booed off the pitch is testimony to something that's probably unassailable. And I think I'd mentioned before, these things, he either turns it around, which you don't really see a lot of managers doing, or he decides to leave, or the club decides he's going to leave, and it seems to be the club deciding that he was going to leave, and him and his whole staff, almost his whole staff, are gone as well. So yeah, that's a thing for us. So it does seem like, so I don't want to get too excited, I guess is probably what I'm saying. Because I got really excited when, absolutely, everyone got really excited when Steven Gerrard came in, then got equally excited, well, not as equally as excited, but still excited for me anyway, for Giovanni Van Bronckhorst coming in. That went like a big custard pie in the face. And then I got very excited again for Michael Beale coming in, and that was like a big slap in the face with a wet fish. So Philippe Clement, I didn't know anything about him until he started, his name was in the frame, and we obviously do the kind of Wikipedia search and get some information online about who he is and what he is and what he's done. And he has had a successful managerial career. And he's won titles in Belgium. He speaks very well about his winning mentality and such. So I think he's, cautiously optimistic, I guess, is what I want to say. And then we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't let us down. One of the things I was thinking about when we woke up yesterday and it was confirmed that he was the manager, he looks the part. Nice to see a bit of a baldy getting a chance in the Rangers hot seat, I have to say. And Kevin Muscat was also a brother of the bald, so I'm in very good company there. Sorry, they're in very good company there now. But then I was looking and then I thought to myself, because I hadn't heard the guy speak, I didn't do an extensive search. I just looked at Wikipedia and then read whatever was on Sky Sports, and then I thought, what if he's got like a squeaky voice, or what if he's got one of the voices that you just can't help but laugh at, and everybody's going to take the mickey out of him and all that sort of thing. And then I heard him speaking, and he's kind of rough and rugged and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, good, okay. So the voice matches the appearance, and I think I got off to a good start there. Anyway, and you might have seen the clip he put on his own social media channel where it was like, day one of work, or off to work, or no time like the present. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was a photograph of him and another fellow with a laptop on a plane, and they were looking at a Rangers game, and he'd said in one of his interviews, I don't know if it was on Sky Sports or with Rangers TV, either yesterday or today, where he'd already watched all the games from this season over the last few days, just to get a feel and a flavour for what he's walking into, so he's not completely blind. And someone was joking today. I actually haven't scrolled in, I haven't looked at it, but the clip, it was a still photo that was taken, but Cyril Dessers was offside in the clip as well. You couldn't script that one any better. I sincerely hope all of these guys, all these signings that came in over the course of the summer, we had high hopes. We were excited for every single one, and it didn't take us long to realise that Michael Beale didn't look like he had much of an idea what to do with these folks, and he certainly wasn't imparting a whole bunch of knowledge onto them as they crossed over the white line to go onto the pitch. So hoping a real genuine proper football manager, which is, it does seem like what we've got, and Philipe here, that he might be able to get a tune out of some of these players that we've truly just been scratching our heads about since the start of the season. I'm the glass half full guy. I'm the eternal optimist when it comes to things being turned around, but we'll see. It would be nice to be a bit surprised, and I think he did mention that on an interview I was reading on Sky Sports. I did want to just start with some quotes that he'd said. This was from the Sky Sports interview, and it gives a wee bit of insight into the process that was followed, gives a wee bit of insight into the options, it gives a wee bit of insight into his selection criteria, his own personal selection criteria that he was hoping to meet to make sure that he was going to make the right decision for him in this next stage in his career as well. And I'll just go through it here. The last couple of weeks, the last couple of months, I spoke with several clubs in Europe and also outside of Europe, and because of the talks we had, this felt like the best project. The thing I was looking for was a club with a lot of passion and a real football club with a lot of fans, but also the people I met from the club were really passionate about the club as well. A little bit boilerplate, a little bit standard in terms of what they were saying, but just he made mention in a couple of places that I saw that he was talking about the fans and the synergy between the club and the fans, and the fact that we have fans, because as you'll probably know, he came from Monaco, was his last job there, and Monaco just doesn't have a big fan base. It's just I don't know why that is, if it's just a particular area that they're in right now. I mean, they're obviously a very wealthy club, but in terms of the fans, he made mention of the fact that he kind of missed that. And when he would see some of the European stuff that we did here, even just this season as well, you'll see how passionate we are as a fan base as well. Then he went on to say there were several concrete options that were financially better than us, of course, but that is not the important thing for me. I want a good project and to build something together with the people of the club, a long-term project that you can make better. And that's what we are. I think I was mentioning last week, I hope I was mentioning last week, I was actually a bit sick last week, and I had absolutely zero people say, hey, you don't sound that great this week, is everything okay? Not one. Not one of you said, are you feeling okay, Gary? So I'm better now. Thanks very much for thinking that I sounded a wee bit rough and ready, but I'm okay now. And but I think I mentioned last week. Oh, I can't even remember. I've lost my chain of thought. Anyway, let's go. So for me, it's clear with this team that we can grow. With this club, we can grow in the months and years ahead. However, I also know it will be hard work. Day by day, making the story better with players and with staff and with our way of working. All these things, if you make this process really good, we will make big steps in a few months, but also it will take time. Now, he does mention the time part a wee bit too often for my liking. Now, of course, it's going to take time for a new footballing philosophy. Of course, it's going to take time for him to cycle through the squad to see who he likes in training, how does that transpose itself into actual playing, and what types and styles of situations they react to, and things like that. And that's nice, Philippe. I really appreciate that, and I completely understand it. We still need to win games when you're doing that as well, please. So don't forget that. If I want to implement all my football philosophies in 5 days, it is impossible. Not here, and also not at other clubs before either. At the end, it is always the results of a strong team scoring a lot of goals, playing attractive, dominant football. He mentions the word dominant a lot in that particular interview. They are the things people want to see here, so I know we will get there. Very confident in that. It ends the same way at every single club. My teams dominate, they score a lot of goals. It's just the way it goes when I'm in charge. So I love that. I do love that. I see the potential in the players who are here. I have confidence in that, and it's about putting the confidence in the players and step by step growing together. This might be an absolute breath of fresh air for everyone involved, especially the players, because when you're down in the dumps, when the results aren't going the way, when it's just more difficult to play if you're not playing well, if you don't really know what you're doing, if you know the fans aren't really with you. He does talk about the fans quite a lot as well, and just trying to create that bond and synergy, as I'd mentioned a wee while ago there, but also, the importance of having the fans on side, and the fans knowing how important they are to the team, maybe when the chips are down, sort of thing, to get to a spot where, we're in that's the 12th man, so to speak, to coin that phrase as well. It's now time for me to focus on the team and making the team better. Also, it's very important to get the synergy between the team and the fans better again. That's exactly what I was talking about just there. And it's important we give the fans what they want, but also that the fans give their energy and the positivity towards the team, because the team needs it. So what I think I was mentioning last week, and this is maybe where I lost my chain of thought a wee bit there, but I mean, there was no rapport between ourselves and Michael Whale, especially towards the end. In the beginning, I thought he was great. He's a good speaker. I thought he overshared a wee bit in some of the interviews. I don't mind that at all if you're kind of just building your brand. And of course, it was just the second managerial role as well, and his first one lasted just for a few short months before we went and poached him from Queen's Park Rangers. So, with all that said, it eventually got to a spot where he was saying the same things about the same things. We weren't learning anything new, and there just wasn't that. We didn't feel the same about him when he walked in the door as we did about Gio, and it wouldn't have mattered if he had success. Certainly didn't feel the same rapport as we did with Steven Gerrard, and then kind of prior to that, it's really going back to Ali McCoist in the beginning. I guess not so much towards the end, because that was a rough go, but Walter Smith, and getting that rapport where we know him, we trust him, whatever he says we're kind of on board with, even if we don't like what he's saying, that we were just at a spot where there was so much respect there, so much cadence or enjoyment of the relationship with each other, that we would go on the journey with him, and we missed that. Maybe we get that with Philipe Clement. I hope we do, and as I say, welcome to Glasgow Rangers on behalf of the North American Rangers Supporters Association, and I truly wish you well, and of course starting with this week. So in the game segment, fortunately there were no games this past week, so we got a chance to just skip that terrible guff stuff for 1 week, and I'm happy to do that, and hopefully we'll be talking in more gushing terms about the job that the team did against Hibs this coming weekend. And to talk about that, Just the one game this week. At home to Hibs on Saturday, October the 21st, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff, 3 p.m. in the UK. And it's just so important for Clement to get off to an absolute flyer. I think being at home to Hibs is a great tie for him to get into it. You know, we typically get the result we want against Hibs, especially at Ibrox. And Hibs will come out, no doubt, and have a bit of a go. And the fans will be up for it after a couple of months of dire performances and sapping enthusiasm to go and support the team. Hopefully this will be a bit of a watershed for the fans as well. So a great atmosphere at the ground and anticipation, a team that's going to come out and try and play a wee bit of football against us, and hopefully we get a good performance and a very, very good result. And it's quite important for us as well, because we're back to Europa League action straight after that the following Thursday. I'll talk more about that next week, but it's away to Sparta Prague in one of the earlier kickoff times again. So he's going to have to get into it pretty quick here. He's got a few days. Obviously he landed, I believe he landed yesterday, so he'll have had today and he'll have the remainder of the week, of course, to get to work with the players as they come back from international duty and just get his philosophies really churned through the team, get a chance to see what's going to go down here, and it'll be, everyone will be waiting with bated breath to see what his lineup is going to be. Is he going to just drop everyone that we were annoyed with? That leaves two players in the team. Then it leaves Jack Butland and Abdullah Sima, and then just bring in everybody new. Todd Cantwell, you maybe seen him on social media today on his podcast that he was doing, where he was talking about how much he loves the club and his ongoing spat with the idiot that is Chris Sutton as well. If you haven't had the chance to see that, just go into YouTube and search Todd Cantwell podcast and you'll probably come up. He's such a great talker, such a great ambassador for the club, and cannot wait to get him back and get him firing on all cylinders, because he quite frankly wasn't firing on all cylinders before, but at least he was our kind of talismanic figure there, that we would be excited if he was there. One of the things he actually said from his interview, I know I'm digressing from the game a wee bit here, but one of the things I remember was he says the people up here are passionate and they want to watch good football and they want to know that people care. And you could tell this guy cares, and that's absolutely right. Such an astute observation from the young man to be able to say, just if you care, they care, and if they care, you care, and it's all about that, because we have some wonderful talents come through the doors over the years, and some of them just look like they would rather be elsewhere and they didn't care quite as much as we did, and then we lose a little bit of touch, we lose a little bit of respect, lose a little bit of passion for that particular player. Todd Cantwell has passion and caring in abundance, and hopefully he gets back, and as I say, he helps the team get off to a flyer as well. On the RTV front, very similar to what it's been over the last couple of weeks, so nothing too much to share there. I am sure I'm at least a couple of emails behind, and I'll do my best to get to them this week. In terms of the shout outs, no specific shout outs for this week, but while I have a wee bit of space here, I did want to say a thank you to my lovely niece Chloe for taking me and my love Erin to the pictures last night. Yes, we went to see the concert of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concert, which was filmed in LA at some point over the summertime or whenever it was, and so we went to the pictures to see a concert by Taylor Swift, and we were in the front. This movie theatre, as we call it over here, was brilliant. It had reclining seats and they were heated, and you could get bar service, and they would come and bring all your food over, and it's the first time I've been to this one. It's an over 18s VIP experience thing, and it was great. Chloe was a designated driver, so I got a couple of beers. I had a nice wee snooze about halfway through the concert that Erin got a nice selfie of me on, so thank you to Chloe for that. And that's what happens, folks, when you don't send me in any shout outs, that you're going to get some Taylor Swift and some life and times of Gary Gillan rock and roll. Oh my word. On the convention update, nothing specific to report in terms of NARSA 2025, and in terms of any material updates on that. I mean, as I mentioned last week, the folks were out of town and just kind of getting back up to speed as to what they were doing, and and you know, I did get some correspondence. When's this? What day is this? Monday. So I think it was over the or late last week. Actually, it was. Do you know what it was? It was mid last week where they were asking for some facts and figures from previous conventions in terms of, you know, hotel consumption and hotel room bookings, I should say, and food and beverage consumptions as well. So we've got that information to them, and I believe we're going to get a proposal or two here over the next wee while as well. So yeah, the folks down at Experience Kissimmee are working really hard for us, and I'm hoping to get an opportunity to chat with Greg and Natalie from the club here shortly as well. So yeah, nothing too much on the go with that, but it would be good to get going on that as quickly as we can. It feels a wee bit empty without a convention to organise, I don't mind admitting. On the communications section for this week, they did do the Gers guide, which was good. I'll skip Mondays because Monday's already passed here, basically. And tomorrow, the big one for tomorrow, of course, is the official In the Blue Room unveiling press conference of Philipe Clement as our 19th permanent manager. I'll be really interested. I assume John Bennett and James Bisgrove will both be there. John Bennett for sure, and we'll get an opportunity to see him walk through the doors and all that iconic stuff. And you know, we've been doing this a wee bit too much over the last wee while. Hopefully this is the last time for quite some time, but it'll be great. I imagine it'll be on Sky Sports, and maybe it might even be on live on Rangers YouTube channel. I'm not sure. The only thing is, on the Gers guide, it didn't tell you exactly what time it was going to be. I'm going to be up early tomorrow morning anyway. I have an early phone call. So I will hopefully try and catch that. If not, catch it at some point during the day. And then skipping over to Thursday, there's an international roundup on Thursday just about how our players and all the levels of the teams got on their international duty. And then there's also an interview on Rangers TV with Joe Potter, the women's manager. And the reason I mention that this week is that this is leading up to our first Old Firm game as manager. They just came off the back of a 7-0 victory at Ibrox yesterday as well. So the team's doing really well right now, and this is going to be a big test for her. I think just the few drop points here in terms of or a couple of drop points, sorry, against Glasgow City, but other than that, they've been doing really well. That's the story of the season mostly for the women's team. So hopefully a good victory in the first Old Firm game would really set things alight over there. So I thought I'd mention that one. Friday, of course, is the press conference, the first official press conference for Philippe Clement as he previews the Hibs game, and there's also a press conference for the Celtic Rangers Women's Premier League game as well. On Saturday we have our game. On Sunday is the Old Firm game as well, and that's a noon kick-off, and it's going to be live on Sky Sports as well. So if you have access to that, you'll get a chance to see that game as well. Just another quick reminder that we do have 2 tickets for the Heart and Hand live show at Edmiston House on Friday the 1st of December, and I'm going to talk to the communications folks, maybe try and do that tonight actually, and just see what we can get organised and get that out there and get a wee bit of buzz for the event, because it's going to come up here pretty quickly. You know, as I mentioned, we're on the 16th of October, and before we know it, it's going to be November, and then it's going to be December, because that's what we do. That's the order we do it in. We do October, then November, then December, but it's going to be up here quick is what I'm saying. With it, especially with it being at the very beginning of the month there. Also, wanted to pass on congratulations to the UK and Ireland for the official confirmation of our hosting of the 2028 European Championships. It was confirmed by UEFA last week, and as you might remember from previous pods, I'd mentioned that Turkey withdrew to focus on their own joint bid with Italy for Euro 2032. So countries getting a wee bit more savvy about how best to do it, and not to put all their eggs in a basket that might end up completely being empty for them in terms of maybe not getting it. You know, so these partnerships seem to be the way that things are going. So, you know, I think it'll be brilliant. You know, I think we'll see what it looks like. But I mean, to have games, is obviously Hampden is going to be one of the games as well, and I think there's a couple of spots set aside, only a couple for the host clubs that didn't make it as well. So it seems like there's a wee bit of a safety net there as well. The way Scotland are going right now, I don't think there's any danger they wouldn't make it anyway. So you never know. And just on that, congratulations to the national team for qualification for the 2024 European Championship, which is going to be held in Germany next year. He did it with a couple of games to spare, which was incredible considering the group there, you know, when you're looking at the likes of Spain, of course, and Norway there. But Spain did what they had to do yesterday morning, and they defeated Norway. So both Spain and Scotland in very, very good position to qualify. In fact, is both of us qualified now? Is that what it is? Maybe that's what it is, and I'm not sure. But anyway, we're in, officially in, so that's a good thing, and it's good to get a wee bit excited again. I told Leo about it today, and he's like, I thought you didn't care about the Scotland national team. I says, I don't really, but it's nice to have something to shout for a wee bit when these tournaments roll around instead of just shouting against England all the time. So the last thing I wanted to mention for this week, and a wee bit of a mixed bag this week because there's not a lot of game stuff to talk about, but you might have seen, if you didn't, just go to YouTube and search, or go to Google and search for Norwich City World Mental Health Day or something like that, and see what you've got, because if you happen to miss it, you might not want to miss this one. It's an absolutely brilliant video that Norwich City put together to mark World Mental Health Day as part of their partnership with the Samaritans back home in the UK. And you know, at times it can be obvious when someone is struggling to cope, and I'm not going to spoil the video for you, but it really chronicles, you know, a section of the fans that focuses on a couple of guys, and you can see that one of the guys is struggling, and then it's, yeah, what happens in the video happens in the video. I'll just say that, as I say, I don't want to spoil it, but you know, it's not always obvious when someone's struggling, and sometimes the signs are harder to spot, so they just recommend always to check in on those around you. In fact, I tell you what I'll do, folks, I'll put a link to the YouTube video on the blurb tonight. Just that it's so powerful. I thought it was incredible, the way that they did it, and kudos to them for doing that. And it just brings me back. I think I can't remember if I mentioned last week when I was watching the David Beckham documentary on Netflix. But I mean, the abuse that fella put up with, you know, when, especially after the red card in the World Cup there, when Simeone admitted on the actual documentary that he's oh yeah, no, he hardly touched me, but I just embellished it, and then the referee fell for it. And you know, but the abuse that he put up with, and even you kind of liken that to today with Harry Maguire getting abuse, you know, right, left, and centre, just for being a footballer, for making some mistakes and being, you know, a wee bit of a laughing stock in some quarters, and you even see that Jordan Henderson's getting it as well for, you know, being an activist for the LGBTQ, you know, forgive me, I don't get the acronym correct, but you know, the community, and then going and you know, kind of sucking on the teat of Saudi Arabia, whose human rights records leave a bit to be desired on that, you know, so people are kind of confused. So he's getting a wee bit in the neck as well. Our own fans haven't exactly been backward and coming forward about the levelling some of the colourful language at James Tavernier and Connor Goldson and Ryan, maybe not so much Ryan Jack, John Lundstrom and such as well, you know. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I mean, it's part and parcel of being a football player, it's part and parcel of the passion. But when it crosses a boundary, or when it crosses a line a wee bit to a point where you're genuinely potentially affecting someone's mental health, to the point where there could be some sort of self-harm situation here, it's kind of scary, isn't it? Like you think you're there just shouting whatever it is you're shouting at the stands, and then all of a sudden something bad happens. I would hate to have that on my conscience, and I think I'm pretty sure I speak for most Rangers fans when I would hate to have that we would hate to have that on our conscience as well. Just a bit of food for thought, you know, not to end on a downer, but certainly something that's kind of fairly prevalent in today's world, where as people get a bit more open about speaking about things like that it's going to be something that's going to be just material for us as we move forward. Okay, folks, that will do it for this week. As always, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen. I think we're on the cusp of something big here, folks, and thank you for all your time and patience up to this point. Philipe is going to be the guy that's going to take us hopefully to the promised land. But remember, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, just in case. But until next week, let's hope that our new guy gets off to an absolute flyer. Let's hope he's exactly what we've been waiting for and what we deserve, and that his reign is the success that we all deserve. Until next week, take care of yourselves, folks, okay? And all the very best. Cheerio.